Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new series. My name is Rick Negative and let's get cracking. Today we're going to be starting off a save in Football Manager 2018. This is going to be Irrational FC, a brand new club. It's going to be my club. Hopefully I don't get fired. This is very likely, I think. But this is the Karate Club feature, so there is absolutely nothing here. We're going to be taking the place of Bath FC. And we're going to be playing in the Vanarama League South. So one of the lowest tiers. I've created some jerseys. I've got a logo. Of course, my logo. We're going to be playing in non-real stadium. 8,500 capacity. That's pretty good. But in terms of our club and what we have at our club, we have nothing. These are all automatically generated players, so that you at least have some players. But we have nobody signed at the moment. If we come back here to the main screen, we have currently spending nothing. We've got a sizable transfer budget and a reasonable payroll budget. But we also have no staff either. So we have no coaches, no head of youth development, no scouts or data analysts. We have no medical staff either, so we have to build the club from scratch. From nothing, we are going to be, hopefully, heading to the big time. The goal for the series is to get to the Premier League, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so what a pre-season it's been. I've managed to scrape together a team, or most of a team, and a couple of juniors, and, well, it's... This is going to be an interesting season. We have managed to find some fairly decent players, and hopefully with the tactic that we're going to play, hopefully it works out all right. So we'll run through and I'll introduce the players before we head into the first game, which is against Bognor Regis. And they actually got promoted last year from the one of the lower tier leagues. It's South, and then that's Premier, and then they got promoted out of that in the 16-17 season. So we'll be playing them first. Jump back here. So we'll run through the players. Keith Moses, he's going to be our star striker, I think, for the year. Pretty good finishing, decent pace. And his teamwork is nice and high, so we'll be looking to him for a lot of goals, I think. And we've got Ian Folks. He's a midfielder. He'll be driving things. He'll be the engine room, I think. Pretty good physicals. Again, pace is nice. I mean, his tackling is a little bit low, but hopefully he doesn't have to do too much of that. We'll be playing him as Mazzala, so he's going to be required to do a lot of things, and thankfully he does have reasonably good fitness, natural fitness and stamina, so we'll see how he goes. He's on a one-year deal at $26,000 for the year. Then we've got Wayne Brown, a bit more of a senior striker, not quite as gifted, I would say, in the striking department as our man Keith is, but I reckon he'll do all right. He's going to play a role, and I think he's some of the intangibles is what's going to be what Wayne brings to the table. We've got Steve White, another 20-year-old central midfielder. Again, we'll be rolling him as Mazzala. Good natural fitness, good first touch, and a reasonable free kick taker, which is something we don't have a lot of in this team. Obviously, we've gone out and we've found basically anyone with 2 feet and said, right, do you want to come play some football? And the abilities of those men have varied. Then we have Paul McMahon, 17-year-old Welsh striker. We'll be playing him. Advanced forward. So some really nice technical abilities. His heading's nice and high, free kick taking again, but finishing and dribbling both 12. So that's pretty cool. His pace is fine, his acceleration is fine, his balance maybe a little bit low, and strength is definitely on the low side, but you can't have everything, and with technical abilities like that, it's interesting. And well, he's got potentially a 5-star potential ability. So that was Paul McMahon. Danny Sutton, he's a midfielder, 19-year-old midfielder. He'll be potentially one of our rotation players, looking to take over from the likes of Folks, and he probably will get a fair amount of game time, I would say. I think that we'll have a lot of players rolling through our midfield and getting game time. We have Ian Webb. He's another striker, 22-year-old English striker. Great natural fitness, finishing and dribbling, again, very high, very good technical abilities. Some of the other stuff, not so much. His passing is kind of average, and, well, he's going to find himself probably not scoring too many headers. His jumping reach and heading is kind of low, but we prefer to play the ball on the ground anyway, at least when we're going for goal. We've got Tony Pratt. He's going to be one of our wing-backs for the year. His abilities are pretty good. His balance has actually increased. It's telling me it's increased, so that's great. He's not been at the club long. He's only been here a month or two, and, well, that's good. His determination is probably one of the nice things, and the work rate being very, very high. Dribbling, not great, and crossing, not great. We need a wing back. So it's going to be interesting to see how our wing backs go. We're asking a lot for people that aren't particularly gifted. You know, this is lower leagues football, and they're not all that. Then we've got Mike McGavin. He's one of our keepers, one of our options at keeper. Great handling skill, but some of this other stuff is not ideal, shall we say. And it's the goalkeeper spot is very much going to be up in the air until we figure out who we really want in that spot. John Bacon is going to be offering him competition there. Again, his stats really not that good, but you take what you're given, you know. And then we've got Jimmy Leonard. He's going to be a rotation player at centre back, ball playing centre back. Young guy, pretty good potential to go up to 4 stars, maybe 5, depending on how he develops. His tackling's quite strong at 12, and his strength is probably, and this is going to be a recurring theme, is that strength seems to be kind of down across the team. So maybe a good fitness coach would be something we can work on. The next guy, Damien Saunders, he's going to actually be one of our main guys at centre back. He's going to play that holding role, and his tackling very, very good. His marking very good, and he's an exceedingly aggressive player. Great leadership, and good work rate. Natural fitness very, very high. Pace is, yeah, it's all right. I mean, his jumping reach is probably the biggest weakness in his game. He's a reasonably tall player at 1.86 metres, but not what you would call a giant, and his strength is, again, average. So we'll see how he goes this year. I'm anticipating that he's going to start a lot of games for us and play a lot. Then we've got David Torjussen. He is one of the guys that will be rolling through at the wing-back role. He's got some pretty good physicals, but his technicals and mentals aren't anywhere near that. But as a rotation player, he's probably not going to need, you know, the best abilities in the team. He's only going to need to jump into the first team when required and do a role. Next we have Kevin McHale, 18-year-old, English, and he's got some great physicals, and as it tends to be with the physically gifted players, the old technical skills are on the low side. However, his mentals are quite solid as well. Off the ball, quite good. Teamwork and work rate, both good to excellent. And potential for him to become quite the player. He's going to be slotting into that striking partnership. There's a few strikers that we've got here at the club. Obviously, we just talked about Kevin McHale, Keith Moses, our dude. He's our main man, and Ian Webb and Paul McMahon we've spoken about already, as well as Wayne Brown. So, McHale is going to be rotating through as one of the options. We've got 6 strikers and 3 positions to play. He's probably going to be one of the last we pick, but he's going to get his opportunities, and it's going to be up to him to play well. Next we have Martin Evans. He's going to play centre-back for us. He is a natural midfielder, but I think that just getting a little bit of extra depth at centre-back, especially with his heading and his jumping reach being a little bit higher, I think it's one of the highest on the teams. Combined with, solid, average. It's probably a better describing word. What's a describing word? An adjective? He's going to, be asked to fill that role and should do okay at it. Next we have Brian Baxter. He's going to be another wing back for us. Versatile player, can play either side, either wing back role, and he's just insanely fit. Like, I saw this and I was like, whoa, that's impressive. And his potential ability isn't a 4, maybe a 5. It's definitely a 5. So very strong future player, but already 24 years of age, so a bit older. I'm thinking that he's going to be a rotation player moving in through that wingback position on both sides, and potentially not keeping him long term. Sam Parkin, another forward. He's nothing special, just kind of average across the board. Looking to him to provide some run when we need it. Harvey Platt is actually one of the bright stars that could potentially be a man of the future. Good acceleration, stamina's okay. He's going to play as that wingback, so we'll be working on his crossing and a few other of his abilities. You see here we've got him set up to do wingback and strength. His strength is only 1, so we probably need to increase that as much as we can. Get him to be a little bit beefier. Next, we have John Cooper. He's going to be in at centre-back. He will be, another role player. Strong technical abilities, both the tackling and marking, very good. Heading and jumping reach, a little bit on the low side, as I pointed out previously. Good balance, leadership, teamwork, and work rate, all good for the side. And potentially a 4-star, maybe 5-star player. Only 20 years of age, so he's got plenty of time. Dick Brown, 19, English. We have pretty much exclusively English players. We've got one Welsh player, and that's Paul McMahon. Everyone else is English and speaks English. So hopefully no problems with the squad cohesion in that regard. Dick Brown, he's going to play as a defender. He can play midfield, but I feel like we've got enough good midfielders that we don't need to push him into that Mazzala role that he's just going to be absolute garbage at. So keep him natural place. Ask him to be a ball-playing defender, though, and we'll work on his passing and his strength as time goes on. His upside is limited. He can't really... He's not going to be as strong as, say, a John Cooper, who is maybe a 5-star player if he develops. Dick Brown's much more limited, but he can do some good for us, I think. Next we have Darren Mitchell, who's currently injured at the moment. He has a broken toe, and he's going to be out for a little while. But we'll go back to him, have a quick chat. He's kind of just a mediocre guy looking to round out the squad, fill some holes. He's 22. He's got a little bit of room to grow potentially, but mostly looking for legs out of him. Sean Berry, 24, a little bit older. I wanted to not have a squad full of 18-year-olds. I felt like that would be a road to disaster, so I did actively sign some older guys. So you see here that there's there's a good amount of youth. Over half the team is under 21, and you count, you go up to say 23, and that's 3/4 of the team. We do have some older guys that are going to hopefully provide a bit of guidance to the younger players, and so Sean Berry's one of them. Right back, or right fullback, wing back player, average. in terms of his abilities, but solid, I think. If we have a look here, potentially a leading division right back in the future. So, yeah, he's naturally fit and can play a couple of. Yeah, he's going to be okay. He's the best right defender and the best right wing back at the club. So he's going to play a role for us. Phil Harris, he's another wing back on the right. He's a little bit more, shall we say, gifted, at least in terms of pace. He's got some reasonable attributes there, but again, his technical and mental attributes a little bit lower. And then finally, the last but not least, the club captain, we have Sean Salmon, 35 years of age. I did point out Salmon in the previous clip that I recorded. Whether or not I've included that in this video, I don't know. But yeah, I saw him, I was like, 35? No, I don't want to sign him. And I was like, hang on a minute. He's got great determination. He's a balanced personality, veteran midfielder. You know, maybe he can play a role. You know, even if he only stays with us for 1 or 2 years, that's fine. We can then, you know, potentially ask him to move into a coaching role after after he retires, and that I think would be quite nice. Our first, he was our first signing, the first guy that said, "Yep, I'll play for Irrational FC." So he's going to have that that title forever, and I'm keeping his history, so we can keep an eye on him. He's a long way down the list in terms of our central midfielders, but I think that by the time we get into the season and we start to see what some of these players are made of, I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't shoot up these rankings a little bit, because I think that the other players, lots of these young guys, might not have great performances, and he gives us just a solid backup, someone who's experienced, been there, done that, and can maybe steady the ship if we think things get a little bit iffy. So that is the squad. I'll also run through my staff. I managed to fill up my coaching staff as well. So I now have a head coach, an assistant coach, 2 general coaches, and a head of youth development. I've also set him onto bringing people in and also running the general training, so I don't have to do quite as much. Next, we've got the recruitment. We've got the best scouting in the league. So that's one thing. So we've got a scout, chief data analyst, chief scout, and a general manager. So they're going to run the scouting for us, because if there's one thing that we are lacking, it's players. It was a very, very interesting transfer budget. Transfer window, should I say? We brought in 39 players, so that's a fair old number. We're basically building a squad from scratch. So I felt that in terms of our staff, getting good scouting up and running was important, and also volume of scouting as well, because we're going to need to have a look at a lot of players and figure out what is what. Next, we've got the best medical team in the Vanarama League South. So we've got a head physio and a physio. So that is everything that has happened in the off season. I think that most of the what I did was I ran through it's not showing me now, but all of the friendlies, and we won some, we lost some. It got it was interesting. And we see here that most of our squad is just not ready to go. And that's because lots of them came in late. We were signing players, and we had players arriving yesterday. So this is going to be very, very interesting this season. It's going to be a very interesting journey. And when we come back, we'll be playing the first game against Bognor Regis and Bognor Regis, maybe? We'll go with Bognor Regis. Sounds better. Yeah, and that'll be our first ever game at Irrational FC. So we'll be back in a sec.